Welcome to Development Now, episode 9. Yes. And of course, when you hear that is at episode 9, that means it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, right? So gentle appeal, even before I go any further, please check the videos out, share them. If you don't share the full videos, you see the shorts there also. We share the shorts for those who just want a 1 minute, 30 seconds, 45 seconds thing. We have you in mind, and that's why we do what we do. My name is Bumi Afolabi. Some call me Mr. Speaker, some call me Mr. Development. One of my third doctor development.
You have to get that doctorate.
Now get doctorate. It's just that I don't know which field yet.
I have an idea, but I'll tell you after the show.
I don't know which field yet, but we'll figure it out along the way. But that doctor, I think, I now need to put it at the back of my name. Easy daddy. All right, I'm professional. So this is Development Now. You're welcome. We're doing what we're doing because you're viewing it, you're checking it out, you're sharing, you're putting comments there, you're subscribing to the channel. We appreciate it. Thank you. And for those who are plugging in for the very first time, DevNow, Development Now, is a 360-degree media platform. What we do is we showcase development organizations, what they do, their success stories, the challenges, what happened before the success. We just showcase all of that so that you know what they're doing. You can also be part of their advocacy, you can be part of their impact trail, or what have you. Today is not going to be an exception. We are going to be having a swell time here on the show. We have a great guest. But as always, we have a very good friend, a very good sister. I have nothing against her. The guy behind her close-up camera has nothing against her. Even our guest has nothing against her. One and the only. No one.
Bumi, you never cease to amaze me. Welcome to another edition, or rather another episode of DevNow. This is episode 9. First, I want to say I'm so proud of the DevNow team. 9 episodes, that is an amazing feat. When we first started, we were going to do over 9 episodes, but just to get to this milestone, I am so proud of us. I'm so proud of you for staying tuned and listening. And today is going to be an amazing conversation. I hope you love it, and let's get into it.
Okay, so without much further ado, we have our guest. You can see him in the middle. The guest always sits in the middle. We were in the main.
He's
the heat track.
Yeah, he's the main course.
Yeah. He's the artist. We are supporting acts.
Yeah, we are the backup singers.
Exactly. Those hip hop videos used to be back then, the 90s.
Yeah. I miss the 90s. I was a kid in the 90s. You were in your 30s then.
Don't talk about the 90s. You don't know what happened there.
Well, I know that there were real lovers in the 90s.
Exactly.
The music videos there were better. Men would dance in the rain, chase you in the airport.
Anyway, we have our guest. He's the program director of the Media Development Investment Fund, MDIF, Nigeria, and the person of Mr. Beach Adeko. You're welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. I'm looking forward to this.
I know. Yeah. We finally caught him and he's here. We're not letting you go away today. You're stuck here with the DevNow team. I hope you brought your PJs.
Perhaps not, but we can improvise.
We can improvise, right?
All right, welcome. So a bit about MDIF, before we now narrow it down to the Nigerian project which you're currently implementing. Okay, so a bit about MDIF. Sasa and Studios are to join this.
Okay.
Yeah, they started out with the mind that they wanted to empower media organizations, especially when you have a system where you have oligarchs, you have tyrant leaders. So they wanted to ensure that the media had a considerable level of freedom and also to explore their creativity and all of that. Okay, so they came up with NDIS, a fund that could help media houses actually in that. And more than 25 years after, they have helped more than 152 independent news businesses to flourish and grow. Okay? And in 2022, they flagged off 3-year projects, or program rather, known as the Nigeria Media Innovation Program, funded by Makapo Foundation to support 25 independent media houses.
In Nigeria, as in much of the developing world, independent media are struggling with unsustainable business models and grant dependency. So while audiences lack diversity of reliable news and information sources, without the capacity and financial means to experiment and innovate with business models and new products, many media are unable to develop new revenue streams and build audiences that are vital for their future. And we also know that COVID-19 accelerated the crisis and compounded the challenges that have been facing the media.
Correct. So, of course, we have our guest here, and we was let him speak more about MDIF. We just picked what we could find, from projects they've executed and what we can find on the website.
Yeah.
That was what we picked on, we try to expound on it. But he's here, so he tell us more about MDIF.
Yeah, so thanks again. This is a really great initiative, and like I said before, it's truly is a pleasure to be here to talk about the work that we do. MDIF, which stands for the Media Development Investment Fund, is a non-profit. It's a US registered non-profit that provides funding, conventional funding, not grant funding, which what we mean by that is loans and equity for independent media, independent public interest media. Independent public interest media, but not just anywhere, in places that have struggles with press freedom. So we wouldn't, you won't see MDIF active in a place like perhaps the United States, where the media is quite free. How do we even determine that? We use the scale by the reporters. There's a ranking that ranks how free the press is in different countries, and we look at the ranking by, I think, Reporters Without Borders, and how they rank countries who are struggling with freedom, and we look at the places where the ranking is not quite good. So those are the countries where we work, and we like I said, we're a conventional funder. What we do is we provide finance for organizations, either to kick off at different parts of their development, to help them through their journey. Why do we do this? It's one thing to be able to write. It's one thing to be able to create content. It's one thing to be able to, or to even have the public interest in your mind. But you can't do anything if you are not funded. And that has been one of the greatest challenges of public interest media. You want to be able to hold leaders to account. You want to be able to do the hard-hitting stories. But your staff have to pay their rent, have to send their kids to school.
Yeah.
They need a good life, which means the business itself must work. And that's where the challenge comes in. Also, there are places where, because of interests, whether it's government interests, the interest of the government of the day, or the interest of big business and people with influence, sometimes the media is stonewalled in terms of getting investments. If you're to start a media company, I don't think a media company will be in the top 10 businesses or options that a bank will want to give you a loan to start, right? Because the prospects are usually not that high. The profitability, you're not going to 10x like how a venture capitalist would like to do it. And so what we're doing is impact investing for the media sector in places that really need it. And Nigeria, of course, is one of these places. We have press freedom issues. We have issues around the stage. The Nigerian press right now, the media space in Nigeria is emerging, is growing, is evolving, but it's still quite young. The current iteration of the media in Nigeria, which you can count it from as part of this current republic. So we're looking at from the year 2000, I guess. And so it's like starting from ground zero from the year 2000 to now. So we're like 20 something years old.
Wow.
and trying to build and grow, and the Nigerian media has its own story, why it is the way it is, what it's had to deal with, the struggles, especially after coming back to democracy, and also has the struggles democracy during the military juntas. So there's a need in Nigeria for the kind of work we do, and that's why that's kind of why we did this. Secondly, I'd like to also just say the second thing that we do after outside the direct investments that we make or loans that we give at special programs like the Nigerian Media Innovation Program. Why did MDIF start doing such programs? We noticed that, and before that, perhaps I should preface it by saying this: impact investment is still an investment. In other words, if I invest in you, I expect a return. So if I give you a loan, I expect that you are capable and doing well enough to pay back. Now, I'll not give you a loan at the same rate that the bank will. So I'll give you a more favorable loan, but a loan nonetheless.
What is the time frame?
It depends. Those things are negotiable. Sometimes it also depends on the fund that we are getting the money from. Some funds have time limits, and so we expect the loans to function during the time span of the fund. But it's usually negotiable. If someone takes a $50,000 loan, is different from getting a $1 million loan. The repay back, the negotiations around it, it depends on the organization, and we are really quite flexible because we are impact driven. The number one thing on our mind is that you exist and you are doing the work that you are doing.
If that is the number one thing on your mind, what happens when, or rather, has any organization or any media house ever defaulted on their payment?
It happens. It does happen a lot. Like I said, places with press freedom, you could just wake up and perhaps maybe all the government fees that are being owed to newspapers in the country, and the new government comes in and just stops payments.
What can they do?
We are not going to jump on the media house and squeeze their throat and say pay. We are not loan sharks. I mean, so it's what we do is we provide support, and I didn't emphasize that. So we don't just give loans, and we don't just buy shares into businesses. The most impactful thing we do is we become a partner. So we bring technical support. So we are not a silent. So we are silent on the editorial side. We won't work with you if we didn't believe you are already doing good work.
Okay.
So that's settled, right? What we want is for you to do well on the business side. So we come in with, MDIF is over 25 years old now.
Wow.
And we've been doing this for a while. So we come in, give support organizations, and then we help you actually build your business. Make sure that you have the best practices, you are compliant, create opportunities for you, get you to learn from other clients that we have. So there's a co-learning experience and mainly technical advisory. So what's the best way? What are your options? How do you evolve and innovate? So these are things that we help entrepreneurs to do in the media space, and we've been doing that for as long as the organization has existed. And so when we saw that, yes, you must be profitable, you must be doing well, your company must grow. If I make an equity investment, so if I buy shares into your company, the only way I make money out of it is either you pay dividends or your company grows and then I exit the company with more money than I came into the company with, right? And the idea of getting my loans back or exiting with more money is that I get to put, we are a non-profit, remember, I get to put the money in another company. So it's like a cycle, right? If you don't do well, you're making it hard for the next person who needs support, because the money is not for us, right?
So the profits that you make from your investment doesn't exactly go back to your coffers. It goes right to the next.
So it goes into another fund that is given to other organizations. So that's the idea, the sustainability idea of the organization. That's why it's been able to do that for 20-something years. So that's however, easier said than done, right? You have, when you look at the state of the media in places like Nigeria, where the media is growing, where it was born out of being an adversarial model, fighting for independence, fighting for democracy, and then coming into this new current republic where a huge chunk of it has also advanced thanks to grant funding, because of the good work they've done. The business model of the media has suffered. And that's separate from the fact that the business model of the media globally is in shambles because of tech, right? Technology, the invention of the internet, changed the entire business model. From us being, newspapers used to be a monopoly. No more, right? When I say monopoly, I mean collective, in terms of owning the public information space. I like to put it this way. The printing press was like the greatest invention of the industrial age, right? One of the greatest inventions, right? The printing press, to me, was the internet of that age. Now imagine you owning a chunk of the internet of the age, right? That was basically what media houses were. So owning a printing press, you are publishing news, you're publishing books, magazines, the Bible, the Quran. And that's how information was mass distributed, outside, of course, radio and TV that came later on. But for a long time, it was paper, right? And so what that meant was newspapers were the only way to distribute information as mass media. You get? So it was just newspapers and radio and TV. And what that meant was we created systems around that. You get married, or you just decide you want to change your name. Where do you advertise? Where do you put the notice?
Newspaper.
The federal government does a tender, a public tender. Where does it go?
Newspaper.
There's an obituary. Where does it go?
Newspaper.
Exactly, and they're not free, right?
Bumi and I have a joke. Bumi and I have a joke where we say that these days you can tell that the newspaper era is fastly declining, because even suya, people don't sell suya. They don't wrap it with newspaper anymore. It's mostly foil. I'm telling you, very few of them still wrap it with newspaper.
That's very funny. I never thought of that. So
you're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing. So the business model at the time was quite efficient, right? It was capital intensive. A printing press is a big device. I mean, it's massive. Like a second-hand one could cost more than $1 million to buy even now. But you made the money, right? You could print outside your newspaper. You could print for other newspapers. You get, so you could print for other newspapers, other publications, and then you had to build a distribution network. So classifieds, job ad. What was the Guardian on Thursdays thing, right? Growing up, all job adverts were Tuesday and Thursdays on the Guardian. It was normal. But yeah, so that's where we're coming from, right? Where everything you wanted to do, you wanted to announce a new product. You wanted to advertise your business. You wanted to do everything you did. The inventory was a huge chunk of that was, I mean, there were some book things like telephone numbers and all those things, but a huge chunk of everything was on the newspaper. And so it was so valuable, and that's why we grew up. Our parents were buying newspapers every day. They will buy different types, because how did you form the concept of what's going on in the country? By what you read, because you're not everywhere at the same time. There weren't mobile phones, the internet wasn't existing, so your framework of the country, of your existence, and I say existence technically because in journalism, the reason why news is valuable, one of the reasons is that it helps you create a sense of ownership of your reality. That's why we always want to know what's going on. That's why we always want to know what's in, what's not, what's going on, is here safe. So it gives you a sense of control over yourself. If you were here and you were cut off from your devices, you were cut off from everything, and nobody told you what was going out, basically it would be the same as me just picking you right now, putting you on a plane and dropping you in perhaps maybe Paraguay, where you know nobody, and just putting you on the street.
I know an Igbo man there.
Do you? Nice one. But would you feel safe?
No.
Now, nothing like, I'm not saying the place is not a safe place. It most probably is. The reason why you don't feel safe is because you are not familiar. You don't know enough about the place.
Yeah.
But if you are given a few magazines to read beforehand, familiarize yourself with some sites and places, then you start to know, okay, all right, I shouldn't take this vehicle, I should take this, I should be wary about this street. It's not, it's a bit different. And that's what news does, right? It helps us have a hold of our own reality, and that's why it's so important. And that's why we are always on our timelines on social media trying to see what's going on. And now imagine that power being just in the hands of newspapers. So everyone had to buy them, and newspapers flourished, right? They flourished. There was a good business model, but then the internet came and swept it, but didn't do it immediately.
It's like the asteroids that hit the dinosaurs.
At least that was impact, right? Immediately it hit it, wiped them out. But this one didn't do that, right? It snuck. It didn't sneak in, but we didn't, in the journalism space, in the mass media space, we were too comfortable, I guess. I mean, I wasn't there, but I guess there was a bit of comfort. You know, when you are the thing, you're not so, it's harder to innovate.
Would you say
and change
you
because you're
looked
comfortable.
down on social media?
Pardon?
Would you say that traditional media sort of looked down on social media when, because this is, we're really talking, internet we're talking about is really social media.
Before, in a way, it's, so that's, if we're thinking about it right now, and I'm thinking on my feet, most of the internet is social, right?
Yeah.
Even the traditional media is social, right? Still people. It's not like looking down. It's like, I'm good at what I'm doing. What I'm doing is working. You do you. I'm cool. I think that was it. And that's not a good business stance, no matter what sector you're in. You have to be aware of what's going on and the impact. You have to predict risk. You have to be able to forecast how things change and how they affect the way things will be in the future. And so the mass media companies were quite comfortable. A few tried a couple of things, but didn't really pivot. So our revenue started going. And because the main revenue is adverts, right? Yeah. All these things that are published are paid for. And so revenue started leaving. First, do you remember Craigslist?
Yeah. Okay.
That wasn't a social media.
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
But most classifieds left newspapers to Craigslist. That's classified ads, those little things, because the people that are so loyal, just the way people are still loyal to Naira Land, no change to the design, nothing, but Naira Land is always popping.
Yeah. Even Quora. And
like, exactly. So people moved. So people started moving, right? And started exchanging services on other platforms. But, of course, habits die hard. So there was still a semblance of a good business model, and we didn't pivot on time until social media was invented, as we know it right now. That's the Facebooks. I mean, and it's not something that has been there for too long. Many people forget that Facebook wasn't the first social media.
Yeah, there was High Five. There was
There
MySpace.
High Five, MySpace.
I told you I'm not that
Our real
young.
age is coming out. So High Five.
I was never on
MySpace.
MySpace, but I was on High Five.
There was Facebooks.
Okay, I don't know that one. I don't know that one. I don't know that one.
Yeah.
You see, High Five. Those. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was-
So they come and they came, and Facebook came and became the thing, and then Twitter became another thing, and it continued that way on. But what happened meant they created a new public square, right? And people started going there, and so services started going there, advertising revenue started going there, and they started collecting a lot of data and making a lot of money. So, and before you know anything, the media organizations that were in charge of mass media weren't just trying to get a space on social media. And so mainstream media, who were kind of the guys collecting ad revenue, now did not only have to create their shop on social media, which was adding value to social platforms without being paid for. They even had to pay. So you have a newspaper for the first time having to boost its own content.
Wow.
Whereas part of the reason social media is engaging is because a lot of newspapers are also there. And so the whole thing kind of just got flipped on its head. We started building websites. A lot of people migrated late, but they did migrate. Every newspaper has an online platform now. However, depending on the algorithm, on how well you do SEO, right, and how big Google is right now, you don't know how many you get page views you're going to get. You're looking for referrals from social media. You're looking for referrals from. So you're not a direct link to the audience like we were before, where we were using buses and newspaper stands to actually put our newspapers for others to get there. And so things have changed, different media, and it has affected broadcast as well, radio and TV, even though due to the nature of broadcast, it hasn't borne the kind of brunt that print has suffered, because people still watch TV and listen to radio. And radio reaches places that many people don't reach, down to the grassroots, because we love to talk, right, and hear ourselves. So there's still some. The broadcast media is still up there in the hierarchy of advertising revenue, not at the top, of course, but still quite up there. However, everyone on TV now has a YouTube channel. You get everyone on radio is live streaming their radio programs.
We are on this
communities. I mean, we're here putting this together. So it's the natural progression of things. It's technology. It's always been that way. I mean, when the printing press came out, probably put the town crier out of business, right? So it's just normal for life and technology to advance, and technology advances exponentially at a very quick rate. So the business model of the media is kind of really has been struggling and playing catch up for a while, and so the only way to survive is to be innovative, generally, and that's global. Now imagine yourself in a country where the press is also under attack. So you are struggling with your existence as a platform, trying to do good work, trying to do some accountability journalism, because you could just do general information and not be bothered, right? But that won't build the country you want. You have to do more consequential writing, storytelling, critical reporting, And there's a large and whole wide gamut of reporting that needs to be done that is still not even being done. So even outside critical reporting, showing what's working, what's not working, things like this, right? All contribute to the entire media space that we need for a thriving society. Because it's about giving people as much information, context to live good lives, to be able to make informed decisions and interact with each other in a peaceful and civilized manner. And that's really what the media is there for. And that's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of soldiers, right? And we don't have nearly enough, and we still are plagued with a couple of struggles and issues. And so mastering the business in places like this is now a lot harder. And we began to see a decline in the numbers of businesses that even hit our very low level of eligibility for an investment.
Okay. You mentioned the exponential advancement of technology in the media. How does that affect your vetting processes for these 25 media houses that you select to fund? So what do you identify in them? Because you've mentioned that we must adapt to the world. So when a media house seeks you out, what do you look for in them that says, okay, I see these people as people who can give me back my money to go back into the sustainable cycle?
Yeah. So for the developmental programs, which is what I was explaining, in places like this, they're struggling to meet up with the criteria for an investment. So we just can't invest. But we also can't sit on just sit there and just say we are not doing anything. And so we built special programs on the back of over 20 years of technical advisory. So it's like we've been working with organizations that are doing well, that are innovating, that are evolving, and we've seen trends, we've learned lessons. We have a whole directorate in our organization called Media Advisory Services. And we decided, right, let's take all that knowledge with the institutional knowledge that we had, and that was what the leaders of the organizations decided, and we started creating this kind of pockets of programs. And what these programs do is we are not investing directly. What we do is we're looking at other non-profit funders. So that was our first foray into, for this reason, into working with other grant funders. So like in Nigeria now, we are really grateful to the MacArthur Foundation, who has invested a lot into the Nigerian media space and accountability space. And they felt there was a need for some sustainability, which is what we're trying to do. And we said, okay, you've invested a lot, but these organizations need to be sustainable. They need to exist as sustainable entities that are not being tugged or pulled around by owners who have nefarious interests, right? And the only way you can be sustainable is if you are running a sustainable business, a good business, right, with multiple revenue streams. So you're getting grant funding, you're getting business, you're doing all this, but you are your own boss. That way, when you write a story or you do a video, you don't get a call from someone in your organization or a co-owner saying, take this thing down, right? You want to be independent. So we decided we will get funding from these guys, and then use that to provide your runway. Like in any business, right, you need a runway to be able to innovate and actually run it well. So we'll provide runway and provide our technical assistance to get you from zero to as far as we can get you, so that you can get to the level where you can walk to us or anybody and get an investment.
So there's a lot of nursing and nurturing.
Exactly. It's a painful, long time process. And that's what we've been doing since 2015. Started in Southeast Asia with a Myanmar program. We did it in South Africa. Started a South Africa program in 2017. That ended. We started another South Africa program this year as well. We've done one in Ethiopia and in Nigeria, of course, in 2022. So and then we've also opened programs in Europe, not in major, in the Western Balkans and other parts of Europe that have struggles as well. So what we're doing is we are providing this support. We have funding partners who come in with the money, We give these organizations, we use it to get them technical assistance skills so they can employ people who they need. But the goal is that everything we are doing is so that you are increasing your revenue, so that you can do this thing on your own, right? That's the whole idea. And so the Nigeria program was set up that same way, right? That same way, to ensure that our participants, and we right now we have 26 people. We've worked with 26 people. So the number was not a cap. We're very, I don't want to use the word innovative. We're very, that's even another, a lot of words have been taken over at this point. But we try to be client-centric, and we try to respond to the realities we meet. We've noticed that a lot of the issues that are faced in this sector are because of in-the-box thinking, right? So we're trying to, an informal way of saying this is what works. This is how we do it. This is what has worked, and so this is what we are going to do. That doesn't help. You have to re-examine everything at every time. That it worked last year doesn't mean it will work this year. That it didn't work last year doesn't mean it will work this year. And because we are a knowledge-based profession, we tend to become very proud of our achievements and attached to the way things are.
Yeah.
And so what we try to do is we try to respond a little bit spontaneously to what's going on, to the demands. And so that's why we could have ended up with maybe 10 people or 20 people based on the support that we also got from the program. And we are also not structurally rigid. We are organized, but not extremely rigid. You get, grant funding. Because also, and we also struggle with this, but grant funding also has its strain on the media. For example, because there's funding in a sector, everyone starts reporting in that area. So it's also an issue, an independence issue as well. And so even though we are in that position, we want people to be able to say this is what they want to do. When I talk to our beneficiaries and the CEOs, I tell them, you measure your independence by the amount of no's you can say.
Say it again.
You measure your independence by the amount of no's you can say. So if you came to me and said, I have $50,000, I want you to do this work, and it's easy for you to just say no. You will say, 50K.
So it's like toasting a babe. It's just like that. I see it that way. It's like, come and meet me. It's like, I will give you $50,000 to go on a date with me. I'm like, no. It'll probably make you up the ante,
Yeah. So it's like, exactly like, I'm fine. My bills are paid. I don't need your money. So I'm only entering partnerships based on an alignment in philosophies, an alignment in goals and objectives, really. So rather than making it from a point of struggle or survival. And believe you me, money is not sentimental. If children are crying for school fees,
they don't want to know.
You will do what you didn't plan to do, right? You will write the stories you didn't plan to write. So that's the struggle.
Houses.
Yeah. So the issue is you have to do that, and you have to do business with everyone. So the best way to do it is to be very competent at what you do, right, and diversify. So you're still working with grant funders because they're trying to do good as well, but you're also earning. You get your own money based on the value you are providing. That's commercial income, right? You are doing other kinds of partnerships and business relationships. You're smiling because you're working with everyone, and so if any one of these people you are working with, including government, decides to misbehave, you can still write the story. It's really, I tell people that journalism is the ethics of journalism means that it has to be difficult. And what I mean by difficult is it's not the easiest thing to do. There are businesses that all you need to do is crack the product and crack your distribution and you make your money. But in journalism, you are in a position where you have to chronicle the journey and experiences of the people you are doing business with, without being beholden to the same people that you are doing business with. So imagine me buying water from you, and then I have to write the story that the manager of your water plant embezzled money.
Oh.
And you don't like that because it's bad press for your institution. But you have to have, we have to get to a point where there's this mutual respect, that you understand that this is my job, and I'm not doing it out of malice, but it is my job, and people need to know.
There's always going to be that inclination of me to assume that you're doing it because of your own personal gains. Maybe if you write that story, you might get a bit of a press tour, perhaps, or some sort of fame.
It depends. So it comes to respect. If you know that and you understand, and perhaps that's something we've not done well enough in the public interest media sector, is we've not explained, and I've told my colleagues, we've not explained what we do, why we do it well enough. So when you see, many times you see a journalist being picked up by the police, or you see many people just laugh and they shrug the shoulder, but that guy is suffering for you. It's a profession not born for comfort. It's a profession where people take it like a calling. No one wants to be locked up. No one wants to be slapped. No one wants his cameras taken from him on the road. I mean, you saw the clip of the guy who they were carrying. Someone shouted, "He's a journalist, he's a journalist." You get, like, that happens steady in these places with press freedom issues. There are journalists in prison. Prison is not fun. So, and it's not a profession that makes you a multi-billionaire as well. So what is it that people are looking for? Is that, yes, there will be people who are perhaps not doing the right thing, but if you are doing the right thing and your partners know, there is a respect for what you do. Is that why? Remember what I said, people need to be informed to make good decisions. People need to know what's safe, what's not safe. If nobody wrote about industries, or what soap is bad, or what cream is bad, or what meals are not healthy, how would you know? Right? How would you make your own choices?
Yeah.
Right? So it's not about the buzz. If you wanted buzz, we could write about Wizkid and Davido and be cool. Right? Entertainment, sports, they are very exciting, but they are not doing entertainment and sports. They are writing about hard-hitting stories. And so, I mean, that's where you could become a celebrity easily, right? Attend the Oscars, and you get things like that, and Grammys. So,
let me talk in there. So, with the now let's narrow it down to Nigeria. Yeah, I mean, I know you've been doing that for now on the program, with the Nigerian Media Program program. Tell us more about it and how it's getting going. And we started in 2022. Yeah, this is 2024.
So the Nigerian Media Innovation Program, like many of our other special programs, is set up to help organizations grow, experiment around their business models, and crack it, and launch products, do whatever they need to do to come out of the program healthier and better. And we do this in a couple of ways, right? We provide advisory. We also do it. We believe collaboration is very key to everything we do. So we have a cohort approach. So we have a cohort. So the 26 organizations are a cohort. And what we do is we put the mechanisms in place to build a cohort of trust. Because we believe when you are independent media, your competition is not your fellow. Right, yeah, you are competing, but I mean, there are 200 million people in Nigeria. How many views are you fighting for? The question is, your competition is not just your fellow independent. Your competition are the guys who are not independent, who don't have to adhere to any ethics, who don't care, who have funders that you don't see, and are never complaining about being broke, and are pushing agendas left, right, and center. They have their own business model sorted. Their business model is invisible, right? And they are living good lives. You want to do the good work. The only way you can survive is to work with your fellow guys, learn from each other, collaborate, experiment, do joint projects, and we try to foster that in the cohort. And also, so we are not all making the same mistakes. If I think a good idea for me to sell my slippers, right, is to go to all the markets in Abuja, right, and just go and drop five pairs in one boutique in all the markets as a strategy. If I do it after 3 months, it doesn't work. I can come back to the cohort and say, this thing didn't work. And then someone else who was probably thinking the same thing, because ideas are in the air. Many times we think our ideas are unique. No, everyone's thinking what you're thinking. It's execution that matters. Who executes? So someone else who is thinking about that or thinking about doing something similar, even if it's another product, can use your data to build a better approach. So, okay, it didn't work for you. Why? Which of the markets sold? Which ones didn't? When you can give that, then there's more information for the next business or even you yourself to make a better informed strategic decision, right? And the fact that you're even talking to them, they might even give you more ideas to relaunch it better. And that's how we learn from each other. And so that's why that cohort approach is very, very interesting.
Another sustainability ring.
Yeah, and then we bring and we share information. So we have, like I said, programs across the continent and outside the continent. And then we also have clients that have always been there across the world. Okay. So we make sure that we are getting learnings from also our clients. We are doing things like community calls. We are bringing people into a safe space that is not a public space, but everyone there is part of the family, and everyone is saying, okay, this is what I did to get my newsletters popping. This is what I did for my podcast to work. This is what I did for my YouTube channel. This is what I did for my print subscription to not die, right? Everyone is saying what they're doing.
Two heads better than one.
Exactly. Because there's no model. So we say this thing, there's no when they say we are figuring out a business model, there's no business model. You have to figure it out because of the way media products are. You have to figure out what works for your products in your locality, in your geography, and the scope that you're working in. It's a bespoke thing. Yes, there are commonalities on there, and then of course we also advise them on their best practices, right? You are running a business, you're running an organization. Your organization needs to be well registered. Your organization needs to be you need to pay your staff salaries. You need to do financial forecasting. You need to plan ahead. You need to do strategy. Many times Nigerians were very entrepreneurial. With a hustle, we are winging stuff, right? Without doing adequate planning. You don't have a board. You don't have people keeping you accountable, giving you oversight. So these are the kind of insights we give these organizations, put these things together. And we work across 4 or expanded to 5 areas. So we work across 1, you must fix your organizational management. You must fix your digital. Make sure that everything you are doing that is digital is done well. Your digital products are now. You must also fix your audience. You must understand your audience, build your community as a media. As a media entrepreneur. Then you must also your digital security is important. So your audience, organizational management, the product itself, Your digital is important, and then of course the revenue part is everything must make sense. It must generate some revenue for you. So we look at all these areas, and we believe that if you fix those areas of your business, you've got a shot of doing this. There are many other things that are not in our control, like luck, time, and chance, and all. But it happens to every business. Some people did the right things 10 years ago that wasn't meant for 10 years ago, but now, and it didn't work.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
Just have to get the timing right as well.
So that's what we're doing, right? So we're doing it in different ways. So to be more specific, so we do workshops. So we do workshops, trainings based on what we see. Like I said, we respond. So we are not coming in like, this is what works. We don't know everything that works. We have information on what has worked. We have information on what's working in different climes. But I'm not going to come here and say, this thing works in South Africa, so you should do it. No. Even if you are going to do it, you are going to have to do it with your Nigerian context in mind. And you have to do it as an experiment. And that's what the funding helps you to do. It helps you to run the experiment for a safe period of time. If you don't have any, you get extra funding. You don't run experiments. I mean, you're fighting for your life here. You don't run experiments, but we give that breathing room for you to run the experiments that you need to run to check what works. Quick, rapid testing. So, okay, this is working.
A few months.
A few months. Let's put in. You get more effort here, and then we provide that support for them. So we do a lot of needs assessments. We are very hands-on. We are communicating with our participants every time, every month. Like we are like a part of them. So we help them. We know what's going on. We tried our best to know them as well as possible, so that we can recommend, okay, there's an organization who has done this well. He can come and help you out here. Or we know a consultant who can come in and fix this problem for you. Or 10 out of 26 are facing this similar problem. Let's get all of you together and do a workshop for you all on that problem. So we respond in different ways based on it. We give you a coach that can coach you as a CEO through your journey, or we do a workshop. So and then we also support them to attend conferences where they can learn from other people, and also speak and share their experiences and network as well.
Okay, so you mentioned while Jimmy was reading this, he says there was an urgent need for media financing and advisory in other countries seeking to escape authoritarian climates, rather. Yeah. So when a news house that you're supporting, let's say one of the 25, 26, okay, one of the 26 gets into, let's call it an authoritarian problem. Maybe they've offended somebody and the person has dragged them. Yeah, has probably, is intimidating them or is trying to drag them to court. Does your organization support them with financing for legal work and all of that? Or
yeah, so whenever participants or clients get into trouble, or are targeted or victimized, we're always there for them in different ways. We provide advocacy support. For some clients, we can provide, we can talk strategy with them. Some we continue to advocate. There's a client of ours in Guatemala who has been locked up for how many years now?
Yes.
We are always talking about it. We don't stop. And then we look out for ways. So another thing we do is collaboration, right? We are not the only media development agency, right? Our strength is in the organizational management and technical support, and we try what we can. Of course, if they need. First of all, part of why we need them to also have money so that they can actually afford a lawyer.
Okay.
So that's also part of it. If you are financially stable, you'll be able to afford a lawyer. Then we can do the collaborative work. And there are many other media organizations that even provide legal support for free. There's the MLDI, Media Legal Defense Initiative. There's CGID in Nigeria, who has a press freedom project. They created a coalition of lawyers who agreed to take on cases pro bono. So there are different ways you approach, and there are also associations, the NUJ, the IPI, that also help to fight. So one of the ways the journalism ecosystem and the media ecosystem has survived is by helping each other to fight together. So whatever we need to do based on what's available or not for each client or participant, we do. Sometimes it means joining with other organizations, releasing press statements, protesting that this person should be released. Sometimes it's getting them, giving advisory, as we always do. This is the best, this is what your law says. But remember, laws in different countries are different. So I can't get a US lawyer to come and handle a case in Nigeria. So you still need to use your local context to solve your problems. That's just the truth about it.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's so. From what you've said so far, it looks like the program is going well.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, the 26 participants. Yeah. Oh.
If you want to see 26 participants on the website, you see all the logos are in. I think there's a
NAMIP.mdif.org.
Yeah. So now, what are some of the success story? I mean, it'd be nice to go to discuss in this. You know, they're saying first position in accounting will win what more.
Accounting.
It'll be good. I know you small cap.
Literature. Amazing.
So I'm sure this one you can mention names as well. This guys, yes, you know,
So
on such stories.
I might not be able to go into much detail because a lot of what we do is confidential with the people, because we are working in the engine room of this organization. So, but there are things that are public facing that we can talk about.
Yeah, you don't have to be. You have to tell us the names.
So so we can even mention some names because the names of the people in the program are not a secret, right? They are there. So we have participants that have done great things. So our impact has happened in a couple of ways. A lot of organizations that have been in the cohorts have some of them were not generating almost any income at all, and now they are. Some had very little media products, very few, maybe just a website. Some maybe 2 staff. Now they are like 15. They are properly set up, have a full team.
So that's growth.
Yeah, growth. And some have been able to experiment. So I'll give some examples. And we work across the country. So there are organizations like Solis Base in Kano. When we came through, Solis Base already was doing good work, but they weren't organized for growth as well as they could. And by the time we started working with them, they started generating a lot more revenue. They started getting in better team members into their organization. They had launched a studio, creating more multimedia content, and they are doing their storytelling. They have communities on Facebook, on WhatsApp. They are doing a lot of impact work there in the north. We have organizations like here in Abuja. We have a Prime Progress, that is a solutions journalism outfit that started just at the time when they joined. They just had very few a handful of staff, one main product. Now they have multiple verticals. They have a Prime Woman that's become a community on its own. They have a newsletter with thousands of subscribers. And one of the reasons, many of our people have good newsletters now because a beneficiary of our program in South Africa, which is one of the organizations with the best newsletters in the world, which is Daily Maverick. we actually brought them here to actually share their story as well with the rest, so people saw what was working and people could experiment better. So they have a good newsletter, and then we have collaborative, and then we have some innovative trials like a human angle was supported to create to do some experimentation in the metaverse, do some 3D XR virtual reality storytelling. So that's going on right now. We have we have a podcast company that was part of the cohort that has improved its operations. Apart from creating podcasts for others, are also collaborating. How many of you did either of you
If it's old,
were you aware of the June 12th podcast that came out recently?
June 12th podcast.
Yeah, by The Republic. The Republic is also one of our beneficiaries and clients.
Okay.
And it was a collaboration between two organizations in the cohort, and it was they won awards for that podcast,
Nice.
explaining chronicling the story of everything that happened, important things that happened in June 12th for people, and the uptake was massive, because a lot of people are seeking information and historical context that has been missing. Especially young people want to know what happened, and so it did pretty well. So we have a lot of that. We have a TV station in the cohort called TV 360. When we joined, they were only online. Now they are also on cable. They've expanded as well. They are doing better. We have a radio station that does development reporting alone, Omalicha FM, in yes. When they started, when they joined the cohort, they were barely months old in operation, and now they're doing a lot better. They are on their road towards
That's
sustainability,
amazing.
and they are able to create a lot more impact. The way we see impact is we help our organizations get stronger while they do the work of touching the lives, because they're the heroes. Like, they're the ones who are in the field. They're the ones doing the heavy lifting. It's not us. Yes, we're helping them, but they are the ones who need to exist the most. They are the ones who are touching lives, so are ensuring that people have the information they need to thrive, and so we support them. So we have platforms like that. We have established platforms that were there that have expanded. We're also working with platforms that are innovating. Business Days, even with us, Premium Times is working on experimenting around its reader revenue. Business Day has a series that they have been doing for the past couple of months called the Policy Intervention Series, where they create these media events and they bring a serious policy issue, bring the stakeholders together to really, really discuss it. Because one of the roles of the media is to be a convener, right? A public square for the mobilization and discussion. So town hall, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. I knew it.
I should have seen that coming. Good one.
I saw that one coming.
Yeah.
You've spoken so well, and I just wanted to say, ask a question just before it skips. So you mentioned the 26, like the Grand 26. So I'm pretty sure it comes a time where the baby is grown and you've seen the success, and then they drop off. So that means you then replace that with another one, right?
Yeah. So
what makes you, like, how do you identify and how do you measure and say, okay, baby, it's time to leave the nest?
Yeah. So for different reasons, right? Like, we are not magicians, right? And we are not running the organizations for these people. They're the ones that have to grow. We are supporting as much and as intentionally as we can. And so we take them as far as we can take them. Sometimes we take them as far as they allow us to take them. Sometimes the experiments that they want to run, because they all apply to join, right? The experiments that they want to run has taken its course and they're doing good, right? So we don't So we are working with them at different levels of intensity based on what they need. Some people need a lot more hand holding, so we do a lot more hand holding. Some people just need once in a while check-ins where we are talking about bouncing ideas. This is what you're trying to do. Okay, I know someone who can help you with that. I know someone somewhere who.
Do these organizations know each other and know that they're under your umbrella?
Oh yeah.
So there'd be like a sibling rivalry. No, you're holding this person's hand more than you're holding our hands. And this is me trying to be messy.
That's a really good question, but I haven't experienced that because we try to.
Because you don't know when your kids are fighting.
We try to do it. So like the first question you asked of, if do they know, we have community calls where everyone's there.
Oh, okay. So they definitely know.
They are teaching each other.
Okay.
As well. So it's not just us. Like I said, we don't have the answers to everything.
I was just looking for some tea. Don't mind me.
No, it's fine. It's interesting. I like to think about that because there are opportunities that not everybody gets to take.
Yeah.
So what we do is we try to look at every organization and make sure that's the best, and we also reward good behavior. Oh yeah,
like in cash.
We reward results.
Okay.
In the world of business, the person who is more successful gets more money all the time.
Bonus. Okay.
So I didn't say we give you more money. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So business, the world of business rewards success.
Yeah.
Right. You build a good business that works. The next time you need money, they just give you the money, right?
Yeah, you don't have to make so many calls.
Right. It's so you don't just you don't mess up and you just keep getting money. Sometimes some people have said grants create that bad habits because you just get a grant, you do something, you might mess up and you still get another grant. Even though that's not necessarily true all the time because sometimes you mess up, you also don't get many times. So we make sure that we are responding to people who are actually growing. Not everybody grows at the same rate. Not everybody has a huge vision. Not everybody. And again, like I said, the work is not easy. It's a lot of growth, a lot of change in habits. Sometimes they are angry at us.
You think you know more than us?
No, these guys they just stressing us. But it's not for us, right? It's their organization. So we also observe how they are responding, and the truth is nobody is not a blood covenant. If you don't want to be in the program, you can leave at any point in time, or you can stop. And it has happened. There are people who we are not like actively supporting in the cohort directly. Like we're still in conversation, but if maybe I'm talking to somebody every 2 weeks, maybe yours is once every 3 months, because you don't need as much. You're kind of cool. When you need us, you call us and say, okay, I'm struggling with this. So it's at different levels. We're meeting people like their needs. Some people are already a bit bigger, so we have a mix. We have very young, I give an example of very young organizations. We also have established organizations like Premium Times, like Business Day. We have those that are in the middle. We have Tech Point with Chud. We have people doing innovative work. We have Data Fight. We have the Republic. So we have a mix of old, mid-age, younger, and so they are sharing learnings, right? And their needs are different. You get maybe someone that is older has already figured out how they want to run their organization, or maybe they are revisioning or revising their organizational management framework. Then that's what we'll come and help with. So everyone has a different growth journey, has a different need, and we don't create the need, right? Our job is to respond to the need and provide the runway for them to meet that need. So if they need to hire someone, and sometimes we have to solve some ecosystem problems. I'll give you an example. When we started out, because of the way our media has evolved, a lot of people did not have business frameworks at all. Like there are media organizations that is maybe 3 people, they are not making any money, and they are running around looking for money, but they don't have anybody, any CFO, any business development head, and you get, so I mean, journalists have a history of struggling with the business side of things because of the old model where there was a printing press. The journalists just had to write the stories. There was a whole different department that handled sales, but now in the digital world, you are everything. So someone who has had a career of 30 years now has to start learning for the first time and finding out how they were meeting the bank to do a deal, or how they were. So it's not easy. So they are growing pains.
It's a root shock as well.
Yeah. So there was a time where like 60% of people in the cohorts were trying to recruit people in business to do sales or business, and they weren't available in the country, right? People who understood media products, who could actually sell media products, weren't many. So we experimented with a pilot phase of what we called a media product fellowship, where we got one of the coaches to help us. You get trained some younger people, and then have them intern in some of these organizations to start solving those problems. So we've had to respond in creative ways to medicine, and we borrow ideas. So we've done this now. We're talking to our colleagues in other countries, my colleagues in other countries that are leading their country programs, and saying, okay, how are you guys responding to this thing? And a lot of our problems are similar across the world, even though there are a few differences, but there are similarities. And so we are responding as creatively as possible.
And some lots, man. Holding the hand of doing 6 media organizations, do this, well, you could do it this way, and it must be a lot of work.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. And
grandmother tried.
I'm not alone. So I've had the benefit of having, first, of course, great leadership ahead of me. We have good structures in the organization. We are very remote, very thin, but everyone's really on hands on deck because we are purpose driven. As I lead the country office, there are people. There's someone who leads the continent, the region that I report to, and I get support in different ways. The media advisory team, right, that is structured on its own, supports us as well.
Yeah.
With consultants, with information, knowledge, and then my team here is also great. Like we are a small team, but with really really great people, and they make the work easier. And even though everyone is on deck with the craziness and with the pace of work, you're having 1,000 meetings every month, talking to people, arguing, bouncing ideas. This will work, this won't work. Looking for how to help people support their ideas. Calling all our networks. Do you have someone who can do this, or have someone who can do that? I have someone who needs this or needs that. And then putting workshops together. So it's a lot happening at the same time. So it's always it's always intense, but it's mission-driven work is what we love. As an organization, we are client-centric. It's one of our values. We're really focused on the clients because the clients is the one doing the work. As much as I say what we are doing is hectic, at the back of our minds, what they're doing is more hectic. So it's really about supporting the work that these media organizations are.
Wow.
Great work.
Yeah, so it was a 3-year. Yeah, so we're nearing the close, right? Of course, a lot of organizations have matured through the process. We hope that we've created impact, and we believe we've started seeing it in terms of the conversations happening in the space. And we're also looking out for new players in the space to support. So the program isn't hitting a stop at the end of the year like a hard stop. But what it would look like in the future is still being discussed. But the one thing I can say for a fact is we are still talking with other people, and I'll still reiterate, we are really, really grateful to the MacArthur Foundation. We wouldn't have been able to do this without them. They've been very supportive, very open and flexible, because they're really also about getting the work done with these organizations. They've given us all the support that we've wanted. We're also talking to a couple of other people who are willing to support the work. So we intend to continue. We've had 2 public calls, right? The first call in 2022, where we got in half of the cohort, and we did another call last year, where we got in the rest of the cohorts that we have. Who knows? There might be another call next year. Some people might leave because they've reached the end of their cycle. They will still, perhaps, they might now end up being the ones coming to teach the new guys. So we say, okay, how did you guys exactly peer mentoring? We do peer study tours. These are things that we still do.
Yeah.
So they might come and say, okay, while we're here, this is what we did. This is how we faced this problem. And then they can advise the others. So that's how we see it growing, and I'm looking forward to it. It's an interesting work. I'm privileged to be doing this, and I'm glad. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Well, so the devnow audience, I mean, that's a lot soaking.
It's a great conversation.
Yeah, we went from primitive media, you know,
I mean, let's not call it primitive. Let's call it primitive. Well,
primitive to analog,
media of the first man.
and then what
Media of the first
what it
man.
is right now. And then, of course, maturing of media organizations, what they used to be, but now you see different media organizations, even different approaches, because of course, with the digital space now exists, and all of that, thank you. NDIF support team, holding their hands, helping them get to where they want to be or where they need to be. So it's been a lot, so not to circuit, and it's a video you should check out over at America. Still again, looking at going into the media space and maybe.
Like you said, it's a calling sometimes.
So it is a lot. I want to say big thank you.
Thank you.
I've had a great time. Thank you.
I hope you've had a great time with the ancient and modern.
With this,
You, of course.
I want to see on camera. What does he think? I mean, the video because I
You believe ancient
it is the
and
way it is. But I
modern.
want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to NDI for coming to me and making today's episode
Amazing and enjoyable and very inspiring as well. Thank you for all you do. I think NGOs like you are very important in this space. So thank you for all you do. And we hope to have another conversation with you sometime.
Yeah.
Follow devnow on the platforms. Like the video, share the what I wrote for.
See who is meant to be my partner in crime. Thank you so much for tuning into devnow today. I hope you had an amazing time. I hope you're inspired, and I hope that you're going to come back for episode 10. It's going to be special. We love you from ancient and modern. Yeah.